Too Fast, Too Furious was directed by John Singleton and this time stars Paul Walker as the main character alongside Tyrese Gibson. Brian O'Connor is now a former cop and takes part in street races, but soon gets busted by the police and is forced to take down a criminal with the help of an old childhood friend. May the 4th be with all of you. I plan on reviewing all the Fast and Furious movies leading up to Fast and Furious 9, which right now, I have no idea if it's even going to go to theaters, considering that AMC and Regal will now not be showing any Universal movies, so that is to be determined. But nonetheless, I still am reviewing all these movies, and now I am on Too Fast, Too Furious. For some reason, I have seen this movie by far the most out of all the Fast and Furious films. This was the only Fast and Furious movie I owned on DVD as a kid. My brothers bought it, so I watched it a ton when I was younger, and I never watched any of the other films besides the first movie. That was it. John Singleton directed this film. He did Boys in the Hood and Shaft, so obviously a lot of people had some big expectations for Too Fast, Too Furious. They thought it would be this great action film with Paul Walker and Tyrese Gibson. But then a couple of years later, in the year 2011, he made a film called Abduction. And now we're like, well, we never should have trusted that guy. But he did make Four Brothers, so he redeemed himself a little bit. If you saw my review for The Fast and the Furious, you know how I feel about it. It's relentlessly boring, has terrible acting, and is horrifically directed. And so I thought, for Too Fast, Too Furious, we can only go up from here. If you're wondering about my thoughts on the acting in Too Fast, Too Furious, it's not much better. Paul Walker says "cuz a bunch." His acting has not improved at all from the first to second film. Out of all the actors in the entire movie, I think I like Tyrese Gibson the most. Right out of the gate, as the movie begins, it almost completely ignores everything that happened in the first film. It's like it's in a different dimension. They don't discuss anything about the first movie at all. If they ever talk about Dominic Toretto, they don't say his name. They just talk about what he did at the end of the first movie. Characters like Mia and Letty are nowhere to be found. Vin Diesel said himself that he thought the script was awful, so I don't really blame him for not coming back for this movie. And this film kind of feels like just a cash grab. It didn't go for anything else. It's a very basic formulaic story. Oh, would you look at that? This movie opens with a street race, and once again, there's no consequences for these actions. These guys can just do whatever they want, race at 150 miles to 200 miles per hour and not get caught by police. There are no pedestrians walking on the sidewalk, no other cars on the street, just the 4 cars racing, and that's it. I don't understand why they thought this was a good idea for 2 movies in a row. And on top of that, the CGI in this movie, it's just... oh. Listen, guys, I'm always up for guilty pleasures. I enjoy watching fast cars. I like looking at beautiful scenery and people. But when you do it like this, I have no words. There's nothing unique about Too Fast, Too Furious. I don't care about anything going on in the movie. Yes, there are some fun racing scenes, but that's about it. This movie doesn't give me any reasons to care about the characters, the story, or anything. So Brian is caught by the police and forced to work for the FBI, and his criminal record will be erased. His mission is to take down criminal Carter Verone, who oddly looks like Matthew McConaughey in this film. And Brian chooses to team up with Tyrese Gibson's character, Roman Pierce. So now we're no longer in Los Angeles, we're in beautiful Miami. I guess the producers thought if we changed locations in this film, that people would think this is a good movie. But that's not how things work now, do they? Randomly, Eva Mendes is in this film. I guess they forgot that Mia exists. They don't even address her, like I said. What is the relationship between Brian and Eva Mendes' character in this movie anyway? Like, are they lovers? Do they like each other at all? Or are they just co-workers? What is their relationship in the film? I don't know to this day. And would you look at that, Ludacris makes his debut as Tej in Too Fast, Too Furious. Right next to Tyrese, I would say that Ludacris gives my favorite performance in this film as well. Both guys are very charismatic, and that goes throughout the entire series. You know what else I observed during my recent watch of Too Fast, Too Furious? This was when the franchise started getting promiscuous, and to date, Too Fast, Too Furious is the most promiscuous movie in the entire franchise. They zoom in on a lot of beautiful looking women and the camera just doesn't stop. They keep doing it. So in between these boring dialogue scenes where Brian and Roman are trying to find ways to take down this criminal, we get a couple of racing scenes as well. And they are just fine action scenes. There's nothing special about them. The way I describe Too Fast, Too Furious is that this film is very forgettable. There are no moments in the movie I take away and say that's one of the better car racing scenes I've ever seen in cinema. A lot of scenes that take place later in the franchise with the cars are a lot better than the action scenes we get in this movie. This movie just goes for a safe, fine action car racing thriller. I don't even know what this movie can be categorized as, but yeah, it's just all of those things in one, but nothing stands out. When these action scenes aren't on the screen, the rest of the movie is pretty dull. The plot is unoriginal, and it's just kind of boring. I understand why I liked this movie as a kid, because yes, you do have some of those racing scenes thrown in there to keep us engaged, and this movie does have more racing than that of its predecessor, but that doesn't make up for the lack of a good story. The first movie at least felt more original. This movie, though, feels very formulaic and doesn't do anything special. I would go more into depth about the film, but I just don't care to. There's nothing here that grabs my attention and that I feel like is worth talking about. There's so many scenes here that just feel basic, and you've seen a plot like this so many times before. This is about as basic as an action plot could ever get. So the movie never goes beyond its barriers of basic action movie. It's always stuck there. But after what happened in the first movie, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because they did try to take some chances in The Fast and the Furious, and obviously it did nothing for me. That movie is horrendous. It's terrible. This movie, I do actually like a little bit more. The ending is kind of fun. It's action-packed. There's a car scramble. Brian and Roman are running away from police, but at the same time, they're trying to take down this criminal. The first movie had a pretty solid ending as well, but does that mean either of these movies are good? Oh God, no. Neither of these movies are good watches. Yes, they can be guilty pleasures, but beyond that, what are these movies? I just don't think either one of them are worth anyone's time. So Brian and Roman take down Carter on his yacht. They give the money back to the FBI, but of course they steal some for themselves. The end. That's the end of Too Fast, Too Furious, and on to the next one. Yeah. Like I said, though, I do like it more than The Fast and the Furious, so I'm giving Too Fast, Too Furious a 38%. Looking back at the first two films in this franchise, it is disappointing knowing that neither one of them are that good after rewatching them, but thankfully the franchise did improve after these two, including the third film, Tokyo Drift, which, if you cannot tell, I will be reviewing next from this franchise. I can't wait to do that, and also, since it is May the 4th, I might just be having a very special Star Wars video coming out that I've been working on for the past couple of months. What will that be? Stay tuned, because I cannot wait to reveal what that is. As always, guys, if you are new to my channel, click the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.